So, welcome back for another Artist Spotlight. Again, my name is Joe Foy, president of Harmony, and today I am joined with Matt Clark.
Joe, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks.
So you're
Appreciate
you're a local comedian.
Yes, sir. That is the rumor.
Yeah. When you said that you were, when I first talked to you, that you're probably like the one of the only ones.
I think so. I don't know for sure. I know there was a gentleman that did some stuff with props years ago. I don't know if he's still around, but I don't know if Fort Drum has brought any new people to the area with aspirations of stand up. Who knows?
Yeah, no, for sure. Now, I kind of wanted to start right from the beginning with you to ask you like how you got into comedy, where you came
Okay.
from, all that kind of basic stuff, if you don't mind going into
Sure, no problem. I love talking about myself.
it.
Just ask my wife; she'll tell you. So it started as one of those things where in my opinion, the class clown is the guy that'll do anything for the laugh. That was not me. I would be the guy in the back of the room with a one-liner that would make everybody laugh, including sometimes the teachers. So, and that was problematic because I went to IHC and some of the nuns weren't necessarily, appreciative of that. But, and then I got into working and things like that, and became friends with people who were in the entertainment industry. And while I was working, I stopped at the Lake Ontario Playhouse, and they had a local comedy competition.
Hmm.
So I said to my wife, I'm like, hey, I'm going to give it a whirl. So I wrote down a little bit of material, went in, and I basically packed the audience with my friends and relatives, and I ended up winning.
Nice.
And with that, when that started, Mike Kinney, who was the owner of the Lake Ontario Playhouse, he's like, hey, your material definitely needs work, but your stage presence, you're very relaxed, you're very easygoing, you'd be a great host. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So he had me host on certain occasions, and then later on, he's like, you're doing such a great job, I'm going to take a couple weeks off. So when he had a weekend off, I would go and fill in for him. I would seat people. I would do the MC work. But there really wasn't much material. However, cut to the chase, I was able to meet some really funny guys who were really nice guys. Mark Riccadonna and Tim Joyce. Tim Joyce has been doing comedy for probably 30 years. He started doing a comedy writing class at the Funny Bone in Syracuse, and that was like 15 years later, or 9 years later.
Gotcha.
So my wife and I were serendipitously walking through the mall, and I'm like, hey, I know that guy. Hey, he's doing a comedy class. I'd like to take it. I was on vacation. I took the comedy class, put together 5 minutes of material. I ended up winning that thing. And then it kind of snowballed from there. I did some more stuff at the Funny Bone, where they had some things they called Clash of the Comics. So you'd bring, as many guests as you can. You'd have 5 minutes, and the audience would vote for the winner. And I won a few of those. And then I started basically doing comedy around the area with a friend of mine, Nick Mara. He's been in the business for a long time. So he and I have kind of traveled around, and a lot of stuff has gone on since then.
Yeah.
We've done some USO shows with my friend Brian Doran. He and I came up with the idea to do something to give back to the soldiers because of military in both of our families.
Yeah.
And so we've done a lot of benefit stuff. We've done 5 USO shows. I've done some stuff for multiple sclerosis. I've done stuff for the River Hospital PTSD clinic. So I've done a lot of like charity work, which I really enjoy. And honestly, I'm not tooting my own horn here, but I do it gratis. I don't take any money. It's one of those things. I'd rather use my comedy to give back.
That's awesome.
So, but listen, if you come to the Funny Bone on October 9th, I'm charging you.
Oh, okay. That's what I was gonna say too. I'm like, you talked
Yeah.
about the Funny Bone, and I
Yeah.
know that you're, and I want to plug that while we're talking about
Sure.
it. So you'll be in Syracuse at the Funny Bone
On
Not-
October 9th, yes.
October 9th. And it is a cost to get in.
Yes, it is. Yeah, you can get your tickets right online at funnybonesyracuse.com.
Awesome. And we hopefully we'll post
Or
that as
Syracuse
well.
Funny Bone, one or the other.
Gotcha.
You can figure it out.
And is that a pretty cool venue to?
It's an awesome venue. It's one of those things as you're walking by, it just looks like a little storefront. But once you get inside, it's a pretty big area. I think it seats like 350 people.
Oh wow.
And they have, food service and full bar and stuff like that. So yeah,
that's awesome. So, but you were at the Playhouse before it, closed, and then ended up being the Ballroom,
right?
Which was a pretty cool venue to play in.
Yeah, they've really done a lot of work to the place.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. We just did a Sky Sands and I did a benefit for the Sackus Harbor Rescue Squad.
Okay.
Did you see those kids? They're actually a bunch of kids. They're high school.
Oh, really?
Kids. And they don't really have any funding, so they wanted to put together a benefit, and I'm like, sure, I'm on board. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so that was recent because
that was recent. Yeah, it was a couple months, about a month and a half ago. Yeah.
Gotcha. That go well for you?
Very well. They raised, I think, like $3,000 or $4,000, something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. So I do want to definitely talk about the podcast that you've been doing. And what's that called again?
It's called A Couple of Drinks with the Clarks.
Gotcha.
My wife and I do some cocktails. We talk about spirits, wine, and whatever. And we actually have guests. We recently had the owner of Rabbit Hole Distillery, Kaveh Zamanian. He was on there. He's actually going to be inducted into the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame this year. So, awesome. I mean, we've got some pretty big guests. We've got Dan Burke from Jefferson's. We've got John Little. He owns Smooth Ambler Distillery. We've had Wingo, his right-hand man. He's been on our show. Oh my gosh, who else am I forgetting? John Foster's been on there too. We've had a lot of cool guests.
Yeah.
And Adam Edwards, he used to work at Rabbit Hole. He was their bourbon ambassador. He's been on like 4 times.
Where's Rabbit Hole?
Rabbit Hole's in Kentucky.
Kentucky.
So right in downtown Kentucky.
So you've had these people all the way up from Kentucky?
No. Everything was virtual. Yeah.
Oh, virtual on
yes,
the show.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So we do a process where it's almost like a Zoom call type thing. It's called StreamYard. It's a great process, and we put our guests on, and we do an interview. We've actually had Mike Wheels Parisi and Charlie DeFazio. They do a podcast called Don't Eat All the Meatballs. It's like in the top 20 comedy podcasts. We've had those guys on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I forget that you can use technology to be able to talk to these awesome people.
Yeah, thank God, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, my wife and I, we did drive to Kentucky to visit the distilleries. We ended up going to Rabbit Hole, and of course, I brought the mic that clips on.
Mm-hmm.
So I put it in between the 3 of us. It was myself and my wife and Adam Edwards, and we were drinking like $1,500 bottles of bourbon and tasting things like that. So, and I'm like, this is one of the greatest shows ever. Don't you know I didn't plug the microphone into the camera? So yeah, so now it seems it's totally yeah. So I got that going for me.
Well,
which is nice.
At least you had the experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you have other guests on your show too. You have some dogs that
oh yeah, we have 3 dogs. Yes,
gotcha.
Yes.
Was one of them like a Dalmatian? Or
no, she is a Merle Great Dane.
Okay, I only saw like a quick glimpse.
Yeah.
And what are the other dogs?
Well, so we have Charlie. He's a chocolate lab. He's our oldest. He's I think 9.
Yep.
And Pepper, she is a Pepper's a rescue. So she is part lab and part husky.
Yeah.
Finger quotes because that translates to pit bull. So, yeah. But she is the most loving dog I've ever seen in my life. She's great. And then Ramona, she's our Great Dane. She's 2. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
We got her during the pandemic, so you can actually watch previous videos where Patty's got her like this on her chest, and we're doing the video, and then next thing you know, she's
2 weeks later.
Yeah. 14 bags of food, and 2 weeks later, she's like a horse.
Yeah.
Actually, we were doing a show with one of our bourbons that Jefferson's Ocean Bourbon,
Hmm.
and she ran by the tripod and knocked it over. And next thing you know, it was shooting the ceiling. So.
Did you keep that as part
Oh,
of it?
of course we
Yeah,
did. Yes,
you
yeah.
have to.
Like, hey, it's like going on a boat. It hit a wave, rogue wave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you've done like 75 episodes or more than
We
that?
have 220 episodes.
I don't know why I thought 75. It must be like that's how much the page load, and you told me
Yeah.
that the other day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a bunch of small version ones.
Okay.
We do have some long form where, you know, I mean, we did a show with John Wingo from Smooth Ambler that was like almost 3 hours long.
Really?
It was crazy. Yeah, but we talked about everything,
Yeah.
anything and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you get some viewer comments?
Yeah, we do. We do. Not as much as we'd like to. A lot of the stuff has been going through Facebook since we've been on Instagram. Our Instagram has taken over as far as how many viewers we have or people following us. We have like 3 times as many people on Instagram as we do on Facebook.
Gotcha.
So, and we're starting to branch off to TikTok, whatever. Who the hell knows what's going on?
Who knows what's next?
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
Have you done any your comedy in particular?
Yeah.
Do you ever film it and post it, or do you kind of keep it under wraps?
There's a few bits out there that I did a contest at Comedy at the Carlson in Rochester. That's on, I think, the Funny Bones website. I try not to, just because you know why give it away for free type thing.
Yeah,
But,
no, I
and I'm not one of those guys where, you know, I can write an hour of material, you know, every year like Louis C.K. and Jerry Seinfeld and those guys.
Yeah.
I have a job I have another job. I do comedy as kind of like a hobby type thing.
Yeah. So if you see part of it, then it's probably gonna be part of your show.
Maybe.
Maybe. Could be.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So how does your wife like participating in the podcast? Was it a joint thing where you both decided to do it?
So when we first, all right, so it basically started during the lockdown. Everybody was kind of locked in their houses during the pandemic, and I said to my boss, I'm like, hey, listen, I'd like talking about, you know, our products and stuff. So I'm gonna do like a informational like podcast type thing and put it on Facebook. She said, good. I go, you know what? And I'm gonna bring my wife because we have a lot of fun together.
Mm-hmm.
So she was reluctant at first, but now it's like, you know, we're doing a show almost every day.
Yep.
And it's there's a lot of, you know, give and take. You know, she's like sometimes behind the camera, sometimes I am.
Yep.
And we have a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, and I could, and not to no like any offense to her, but I could see that when I watched the first episode compared to the 75th episode.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
what I did. I went from one, and then I wanted to see the end to see how things kind of evolve over time, and I could tell that her comfort level completely changed.
Yeah, that happened. I think episode 3.
3. That's all you needed.
Yeah, she started bringing in props and hats and stuff, and you know.
Yeah, though it's probably easier if you enjoy a little bit of what you're going to talk about beforehand.
Yeah, well,
and
a lot of things. So we did this one of our, we did this overproof rum, and it was Ray and Nephew from Jamaica. And what we started doing is if it's a liquor item, we would drink it neat, and then we would make it into a cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
So we're drinking this overproof rum by itself, which is not necessarily something you do. So we could taste it before it went into the cocktail, so we see what it does to the drink. And we had about 14 different people from Jamaica commenting like, "Oh no, don't drink it straight."
Never.
You know, yeah, and you know, they would know.
Yeah.
You know, it's Jamaican rum, and that video is probably one of our highest viewed episodes.
Yeah.
We've got like 18,000 views on that thing. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. The thing that you're not supposed to do is the thing that you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
If it makes me think of the wing challenge where they have people, I forget what they call it, but they have people eat really hot wings.
Oh yeah,
while they do
where
an
it builds
interview.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you probably shouldn't be eating those wings, but.
Well, here's the thing. Even if you do get it in, it's gotta come out.
Yeah, that's.
Just saying. Fill in joke here.
Yeah, exactly. No, I feel that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Is there anything like specific that you kind of like want people to know? Because we've talked about your October 9th thing. Do you have any other shows coming down the
Well,
line?
we have some stuff. We're going to do a show here locally the Friday after Thanksgiving,
Okay.
and I'm not sure exactly where that'll be yet, but of course I'll be blasting it all over Facebook and social media. And then usually we do like something locally around New Year's type thing. But there's been a lot of things where the pandemic really kind of put a damper on comedy.
Yeah.
A lot of the Funny Bone in Syracuse closed down for probably like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So it really hurt a lot of, and you're a musician, you play out, and that's hurt that too. So
Yeah. Basically, because as a performing arts organization, it's like all of them have been
oh yeah,
sadly affected.
yeah, it's unfortunate.
And now things, the last summer, I don't know how you felt about it, but it was just like everything suddenly was all at once in my world.
Mhm.
Like, let's catch up from the
Right.
last couple of missed years. And then it's like music was like every day because a musician is like everywhere. I wasn't necessarily playing every weekend,
Right.
but it felt like everybody was playing everywhere all the time.
Right. So so you can go and support your friends and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that started, and then COVID reared its ugly head again. I actually was in the process of putting together a comedy festival for, I call it the River Comedy Festival, and it was going to be in Clayton and Alex Bay, and it was going to benefit the River Hospital. And COVID started coming back, and that was like September last year, and they're like, listen, we can't necessarily have our name on something that could be potentially a super spreader event.
Yeah.
So and we had a lot of sponsors involved with that. We had probably 15 or so sponsors that were ready to go, but I had to give everybody their checks back and everything. And
Oh, yeah.
but I'm going to leave it alone this year, but I think I'm going to come back 2023 and do something.
Yeah, no, I
And
definitely.
I'd like to incorporate Watertown. I'd like to do, like Watertown, Sackett's. I've got enough comedy friends that we can put shows everywhere.
That'd be awesome.
So, it could be really big.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like it is a dry zone around here in terms of comedy. Of
oh yeah,
when the Playhouse functioned, they at least had comedy nights.
right.
Fairly,
Yeah, it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah. And
Sometimes not Thursday, but yeah.
and I feel like the nice thing about comedy, maybe a little different than music, is even if it's bad, it's still a pretty good
I
experience.
appreciate
that.
Yes.
Because you come away with it and you're like, wow, that was really bad, and you have all this stuff to talk about with your friends. So why it was bad, why you didn't like this comedian.
It's like pizza. Even bad pizza is pretty good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, anything that influences the conversation.
Well, the thing is there's so much of the cancel culture thing.
Yeah.
And people are so afraid of doing certain comedy things. I don't do any political stuff anymore. I used to do one political joke. That was it. And I could always tell when I did it what the room was like with the reaction to the joke.
Right.
Because
you could just start that joke at the beginning,
Yeah,
and you've
yeah.
identified your room.
yeah, one of the local guys, he's from Syracuse, Moody McCarthy, was famous as saying, he was, when you do a political joke, you could potentially lose half the room. And he goes, and I'm okay with it.
That's true.
Yeah, it's something like that. Maybe I'm misquoting, but
You don't do political stuff anymore.
No.
Even that one joke.
no.
you just-
I mean, with that joke, the shelf life on that one was probably 4 years.
Yes. As is with most political jokes, right?
Yeah. well,
Some of them are only like a
Well, hey,
month
listen,
these
some of
days.
those people are in there, have been in there for 40 years. So, yeah.
But now,
anyway.
so now, where do you? I guess where do you think of? How do you think of your material?
Most of the stuff is, kind of like self-deprecating type thing.
I love that.
And yeah, right, yeah. And it's like, and then just some relatable stuff, as far as, I talk about my dogs and, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because it's like anybody can tell a joke, but it comes down to like delivery
Sure.
and the stage presence, as you were mentioning before. It's like Mike Kinney said that you have a natural stage presence.
Right.
And I feel that even here, it's very
Appreciate it.
relaxing to be talking to you.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's
Lully and-
yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one of your shows yet, and I'd love to go see it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like that would be the vibe I would feel relaxed.
Well,
in
it's
that
one of
room.
those. I've had a couple of people tell me that, like when I first started doing shows locally, like I didn't realize you did stand up comedy, and it's like I'm at your house and you're just talking to me. So
Yeah.
it's kind of that's kind of the vibe I'd like to go for, but
No, that's awesome. Now, do you know, just out of curiosity, Dan Menapace?
damn it,
Because he also was a
God, it
host
sounds
sometimes.
familiar. I probably do. I'm
Gotcha.
sorry. I'm poor
No,
with
you're
names.
good. No, he's because he lives in Sackets and he was also a host some nights at,
Gotcha.
At the place as
I think we're
well.
probably Facebook pals. Or
You
something.
probably could be. I was just
But I'm
curious there.
Facebook friends with way too many people. People don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or people who you did know and then now you don't know.
Yeah.
If you look back.
Well,
at them.
I said to my wife, I go, listen, if I'm going to build my comedy audience, what I need to do is if someone friend requests me, and they have more than 3 people mutually, no questions asked.
Yeah.
But I do have a thing. If you don't have a profile picture,
No.
you're out.
What about certain?
Even if we have 85 mutual friends, and you don't have a profile picture,
Yeah, that's
You're
a
out.
scam. That's
You're
a scam
out.
right there. Then they fooled 85 of your
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Now, what if they have, are there certain profile pictures that you won't accept? That doesn't matter as long as it's
not
something.
necessarily. I mean, if I accept a friend request and you're posting like weird stuff, bye.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Silently bye.
Yeah. No. Those are my same rules too. So sometimes I will do one mutual friend if I recognize the name of the person.
Right.
But yeah, for sure. Is there anything else that I didn't bring up that we should talk about?
Nah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think we covered it pretty well. I mean, the comedy stuff and the show that we do, a couple of drinks with the Clarks. One of the cool things that came out of that is there were a lot of people that have come up to my wife and I like, love your show, really helped us through the pandemic. Loved all the information that you would give for certain products and stuff, and it was really meant a lot to us
Mm-hmm.
that people, I mean, and these were people who weren't necessarily Facebook friends with us or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but they were watching their shows. I don't know exactly how that happens. We have one of my wife's friends is not anywhere on social media, but she watches our stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
So she'll watch on there, and she goes, yeah, and she'll take a picture of us on the big screen television,
Yeah.
But that's just one of those things. My goal in life is to make people have a little bit less of a crappy day, I guess.
Yeah.
I wanna bring laughter and joy to people with that might be having a bad day,
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Little light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and it's nice that COVID obviously was a big damper on everybody's day.
Sure,
So
sure.
that was a big influence to say okay,
Yeah.
and we had a similar thing because we would play music in the basement
Right.
every week, and I was partly for ourselves to have something to do, which I'm
Right.
sure is the case.
But the musicians love doing that stuff, and
Yeah.
for me, that the show that my wife and I developed is that was the scratch of that itch.
Yeah.
Being able to talk to people and have jokes, joke back and forth with each other, and it's one of those things. One of my friends, Nick Mara, who we do comedy together, he goes, that show that you guys do, he goes, people might not understand that if you go to your house, that's what you get.
It's the same show.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same show all the time. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, great. I appreciate you, allowing us to make your artist spotlight.
Hey, listen, I appreciate being in the spotlight.
Yeah.
It's kind of my thing.
Well,
But yeah, listen, I loved what you guys are doing. It's really, really a good thing, and the arts in general need to be promoted locally. We have so many great artists that are in the area that sometimes people don't necessarily know about.
No, for sure. And I'm learning a lot more. I had heard your name, but I hadn't met you until now.
Yeah.
So it helps me, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah.